Man, Jamal Hill is going absolutely crazy. He posted on Instagram months after his fight with Alex Pereira, detailing his grievances with the way Pereira celebrated after his knockout loss and some of the more finite details of stepping on his foot. The insinuation was that Alex Pereira snuck in with that hook and that Hill is going to be back and better than ever next time around, and that he's going to knock out Alex Pereira as revenge. Now, Glover Teixeira caught a stray in this, and that left a bad taste in my mouth. This entire thing, quite frankly, left a bad taste in my mouth because Glover Teixeira showed him nothing but respect, and it seemed like it was mutual at the time. Jamal Hill even says this in his really tone-deaf Instagram post. He says him and Glover Teixeira showed each other respect after the fight, but now he posts this and he talks about dog walking him. Sure, that could be competitive fire, but it also was kind of shitty to do that to a guy who at the time and ever since has been nothing but a class act. I don't also understand what Glover Teixeira has to necessarily do with Alex Pereira, besides the fact that Glover is training him, but these fights, they're not mutually exclusive, except for the fact that the narrative was spun that he was kind of looking for revenge after his coach was dethroned by Jamal. I mean, that's a sport, and the plain and simple of it is that Jamal Hill talked a bunch of shit in the lead up to this fight, and he got knocked out, and he paid the price. And again, I get it, because one of the things I actually really enjoy about Jamal Hill is how much competitive, he almost brings to me the competitive nature of certain other sports into the realm of MMA, which I really like. I mean, in the comments of his own post, in which he's going back and forth with people, which isn't the best idea for him to do, he says that he was just trying to sell the fight, and after the fact, the fight is done. But the fact is that he did do a ton of stuff to aggravate Pereira. And we've seen Israel Adesanya that when you do stuff to aggravate Pereira, he can be very petty. I think all is fair in love and war, and I'm pretty sure that Pereira went over to him and kind of dapped him up as per usual after the fact. So there's nothing really there more than just hey, yeah, you talked a bunch of shit. Now I got the better of you, and I'm going to show people why it was so easy, right? That's what that was right there. It's tough because I don't think that Pereira really necessarily owed him any respect after the fight, right? Respect is something that should be given, but fighters are not like obligated to after a win. We've seen this be the case plenty of times where the bad blood is still there. I also see how Hill can be salty, and I don't think it's necessarily bad for a fighter to be salty, but making an Instagram post about it months after the fight, that is where I kind of stop and say, all right, well, this is just getting a little bit childish now. I mean, he's challenging people to spar him for $20,000. At this point, and this is what I will say about being a professional athlete, especially a professional MMA fighter, is like, you should not be challenging people to spar you. That is where I say, okay, you're definitely crossing a line because it's obvious what would happen. And then taking it further where he's actively, it looks like, trolling through the comments to try to find disagreements and going back and forth. I mean, I first found the post and then I went back later to do more notes on this video, and there were more responses from him in the comments to people. I mean, I feel like at this point, he's kind of reaching potential heel turn territory. I mean, it's tough, right? He went up against a crowd favorite in the first place, but it's a slippery slope he's going down right now. I think he just has to admit to the loss. It was a clean and fair loss. We all watched it. Just take your loss like a man. Be humble. I don't really mind the fact that he says, I'll be back. Like, I want to build back and I want to take this guy out, get my revenge. That's fine. And that's something that your fans will rally around you for. But man, when you're a professional athlete, you're living the life, you're a champion, and you're going after people on Instagram, bro, that's a dick move. That to me is just lowering your own personal bar. And going back to the comments, one of the interesting responses he had was that if the roles were reversed, everyone would be outraged at him. And I don't know, maybe that has some credibility to it, but you know what it is? It's how far we are away from the fight now. It's the fact that he's going back and forth with people. It's like, why are we even thinking about that? On to the next one. I think this is partially due to the fact that his fight with Roundtree got canceled because Roundtree popped for something. The entire time I've watched this, I'm like, what? Oh my God, Jamal, what are you doing? I mean, he's a likable guy. I consider me a Jamal Hill fan. I like the way he fights. I like the way he kind of trash talks in the lead up to a fight. But you're fighting a crowd favorite. You talk shit, you get knocked out, you got to take that on the chin. You got to take it, not to make a joke, you got to take it like a man. There's no other way around it. Going at people's livelihoods and challenging people to spar for $20,000 and talking about how much money you make, that's the same thing as a guy watching it on the couch, eating Doritos, and being like, bro, don't throw that kick, bro. What are you doing? I could have done better than that. It's the same thing. There should be no comparison between a pro athlete and the people that are watching them on either end. His ego is threatened, it's bruised. It's fine. I hope that he can kind of build back in the eye of the public, but this is smelling to me like it's going to be one of those famous, like Colby Covington type heel turns where everyone slowly begins to resent him over time. I hope it's not like that. I hope that we get to see him return and issue an apology, man, because honestly, this could be a moment. I want to give him a little bit of sympathy, man. He's a competitive guy. This is like you know what this is? This is like a world-class version of you losing on 2K to your buddy and then being like, dude, whatever, the fucking sliders were on, and you were playing with Golden State. That's the vibe I get here, but on a much larger scale. Without further ado, guys, that's been the video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. It has been your boy, the combat consultant, the soundboard god, Jacob Koopman. I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.